whether you work a day in sales or not, for your career, the best thing you could ever do would be to get sales training because
Right.
you're still selling. You're selling to your team. You're selling to your boss. You're selling to the board, whatever it happens to be.
Mm-hmm.
And sales is leadership. They are core leadership skills. So whoever you are, wherever you're out there, don't just go, no, you got to learn these. These are powerful skills and you can use them in your own life, because if you don't ask, you don't get. So if you want the trash taken out to the garbage can and you don't ask, nobody reads your mind.
Right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to my podcast. I have an amazing guest for you today, of course. And you know me, the power of networking is so incredible. And this is actually how Lynn and I met. She is an incredible human being, but here's the deal. I don't want to spoil her story. I want her to tell her yourself, and we get to unveil her journey today. And so with that, I want to welcome Lynn. Thank you for coming to my podcast today.
Hey, Tiffany, it's a pleasure and truly an honor to be here. Thank you for having me.
I love it. I love it. Tell us a little bit about who you are and what you're doing right now, because everybody's going to want to get to know you after we tell your whole story.
Well, business owners and entrepreneurs hire me to ignite winning sales because most fail to connect, capture, and close their ideal clients. So I help sell with intent for maximum impact, influence, and income. Bottom line, sales love it or hate it. You won't survive without it.
Oh, absolutely. That's the name of the game. As an entrepreneur, we have highs and lows. And I cannot preach enough to the rooftops to say, hey, those mentors and those coaches that you surround yourself with are going to impact your bottom line and help you get really, it's almost like we can't avoid a ton of those lows, but we can certainly make you get through them quicker and help you avoid the ones that we've made and that we know other people have made from there. So let's start from the very beginning. Let's unveil your journey. How did you get to where you are at now?
Well, I've been selling since I was a Girl Scout. And I have to tell you, as soon as I went from brownies to a Girl Scout, in that first year that I got to sell Girl Scout cookies, I was so excited because, of course, I love the cookies. I loved the organization. I loved being a Girl Scout. And I hauled my very best friend, Judy. And that year, they actually released this very special cookie badge. And you had to sell a truckload of cookies to get that cookie badge. And what I did was, very first day, we loaded my little red wagon up with the cookies, and then we went door to door, neighbor to neighbor. But my friend Judy was so shy and introverted that she would stay at the sidewalk with the wagon.
Yeah.
And I would go to the door, and if they were home and if they bought, then I ran back to the wagon to get the cookies and then ran back to the door to give them the cookies and get their money. And after one day of doing this, I was really discouraged. I talked to my dad that night, and I said, I want that badge. How am I going to get this badge in 2 weeks, And my dad just said, Lynn, where do people normally buy their cookies? And it went, grocery stores. And he said, yes. And the next day, my mom helped us, Judy and I set up a little table in front of our local grocery store. And Judy stayed behind the table, and I was out there in the front, pulling them in, getting them to come up to the table.
Right.
And she handed them the cookies and took their money. And so we did that every day. And at the end of the cookie season, we were the only 2 girls in our entire district to win that cookie badge. And we were the youngest girls in the state to win that cookie badge.
Oh, my God.
So, when you sell a product or service that you're passionate about, that you believe in, that you believe in the organization, you know that they do a great job in how they help and serve, and that it's a great product or service, it's so easy to sell. Sales becomes joyful because you're providing a product or service that people truly need, and that's going to help and serve them. Even when it's cookies, everybody wants a snack now and then.
Oh, I love that. Now, starting at Girl Scouts, where did you then go next? Because I can't imagine you just went to like regular old pick a journey in college, right? Like, what did that look like?
Well, in college, I sold Avon, and I also worked at a boutique, so selling things that when people came in. After graduate school, I was working at a small business, and I talked the two partners, the two owners, into letting me go into outside sales. And they were the only two outside salespersons. And they both sort of thought, this is not going to be a good idea. But I talked them into it. It's like water on a stone. And I went into outside sales on my own, officially April 1, April Fool's Day. But the prior month, and especially the prior 2 weeks, I had shadowed the senior partner. And so that first year, starting on April 1, ending on December 31, I outsold the junior partner.
Oh, that's awesome.
And the second year, I outsold the senior partner, and I just never looked back. But sales was great because I love to help and serve people. I love to make a difference. And if I could take something off their plate that they never had to think about it again, I was giving them a gift.
Right.
So I loved it. It was a perfect fit.
Oh man, that's incredible. I know I always tell people, hey, listen, because there have been times in my life where I could be hired as a consultant to help someone sell something. But one of the first few questions I ask people is like, well, what am I selling for you? Or what am I representing? Or who are you, type of a thing. And if I don't really, really believe in their product or their system, number one, I don't want to sell it. But number two, I probably wouldn't be a good salesperson at it because I'm going to try to convince them of something I'm not even convinced of myself. So I appreciate that you go and do that. Now, what does it look like when somebody reaches out to you and they say, hey, listen, I want help with where I'm at? Like, what is your ideal client?
Well, the first thing is they have to have worthy intent. And that's just what you were talking about. They have to truly desire to help and serve their clients with whatever their product or service is. They have to be delivering a quality product or service. And if they don't have that worthy intent, then that's a no-go. I mean, I believe that you should have 5 heck yeses. And if someone answers no to any of those 5 heck yeses, then you need to gracefully exit stage left. So if someone does not have worthy intent, I'm not going to work with them. Yeah, life's too short. And I want to work with people who have that desire and that passion to create a difference, to create an impact with their product or service for their clients in whatever way that is, because there's so many different ways that we help and serve people, their teams, their businesses, their communities.
I love that. One of the things I actually really enjoy asking people is, why is this so important to you? Because when we go out and do whatever it is that we do, we usually do it with enough oomph or enough enthusiasm, but there's always something driving you for that. Like, what is your driving reason?
Yeah. Well, for me, my driving reason is that sales is the pathway to help and serve. Sales is the pathway to grow your business. It really, truly is. If you don't have sales, you're not going to survive unless you have such deep pockets and it's just a hobby that you're financing. So let's face it, I don't care how big you are, sales is vitally important. And it is the way that you can make a difference for your clients, for your customers. So it's just a part of my core value and belief system about helping and serving others.
Oh, I love that. What would you say is the next, like, I know you're doing some amazing stuff right now. Do you have anything that's like next on the horizon that you want to share us? Like maybe, or is it a big thing that you're working on or you're more moving towards?
Yeah, well, so at the very beginning, I provided you with my intro-mercial. So an intro-mercial is something that it's 17 and a half seconds, and it tells someone who's listening who hires you, because you're not a volunteer. They hire you to do what, and why they hire you, and what difference you make. And then you have order to sum it all up, bottom line. And so that intro-mercial is 17 and a half seconds. And it's a way you introduce yourself, whether you're networking, whether when I am on other podcasts, they'll say, read my bio, which includes my intro-mercial. Use it on your website, use it on your LinkedIn, right? But it is literally, instead of a pitch, it's a 17 and a half seconds that tells the other person what they want to know, and they can immediately go, I'm interested, tell me more. And so I see this happen over and over and over again in networking events, whether in person or virtual, where people cannot tell you what they do. Or the way they do it is just so like, it's just blah. I spent 2.5 hours with a new client to understand what she did. I mean, it took that long for me to get her out of the weeds and out of the details to finally figure out, okay, this is what she did. And I wrote an Intro-mercial for her. She almost cried. She was like, oh, this is exactly what I do in 17.5 seconds.
That's incredible.
So now normally it doesn't take that long. And that was a client who was paying me. We were developing her sales strategy. But we offer the Intro-mercial, and that's new, that we're now offering to do that for other people. I've always done it for my clients, but now it's something that you can purchase at a very low price of $197.
Ooh.
We'll write it for you, and then you can use it for years to come. And then if you want to remodel it or update it, you come back to us and we'll fix it.
I love that. That's, you know what, from the seminars and things that you've taken over the years, the one thing that I was taught as like a real estate investor is, Tiff, what's your elevator speech, or what's your pitch? What is your thing? Because if people only have so many seconds to pay attention, I want people to know immediately what my thing is. And I love that you've reminded me of this, because sometimes I get away from sticking to the basics. So getting back to the basics actually is a really great reminder for me too, to make it 17.5 seconds. That's incredible. What are some other great tips that you feel like you want our audience to hear from you?
Well, sales. It's so important to have a repeatable, consistent process so that you can scale. And a lot of people don't put that in place. And so as you grow, it limits your growth because you don't have a system. And B, it limits your ability to hire new salespeople because you don't have anything to really showcase and train them on. And then you're just sort of turning people loose to see how they do. And I've certainly been in those environments, B2B and in my corporate world, where we're all like little mini entrepreneurs doing our own thing. And it's just a festering mess of chaos, right?
Yeah.
And you can't be effective that way. And so everyone needs to bring their own authentic style to what they're doing, but there are things that you can put in place that help your team and your salespeople be more successful, to hit the ground running. And so when you, as an entrepreneur or business owner, when you put those in place, A, it allows you to scale, and B, it allows you then to grow, to hire and bring in salespeople who can be successful right at the get-go.
Oh, that's amazing. There was something that I've been able to carry with me throughout the years of entrepreneurship that was saying, don't make yourself irreplaceable in this. And so by you helping people create, if anything, like an SOP, right? So that way you could take maybe the best salesperson in the room, which, well, let's call it, is probably Lynn, right? And from there, you would be able to help them create this repeatable process. Now, do you have like a specialty of like a genre of like certain, I don't know, like companies that you like to work with to replicate this process?
Well, so each one is unique for the business, right? And it's never about making people memorize scripts or doing only this and this way, because that's a recipe for failure. This is not a cookie cutter solution. I use what's called the CROWN methodology, which starts with thinking like your client. And your client is going to be different than Bob's or Sally's, right? So you have to start with thinking like your client. And then that runs all the way through your sales process. And the next is that repeatable, scalable process. The O is to be originally authentic. You have to have a system that not only highlights your own unique brand and the authenticity of the management or the owner of the business, but also allows the individuals who are playing different roles to step into their own power as well. And so next you have worthy intent, the CROWN, and N is to nurture and then to flourish, because that's a part of the whole sales, is to nurture your clients so they flourish and they in turn become raving fans and provide you with introductions and referrals. So that's one part of the answer. that you asked, but the other question part of that you asked is, I work with primarily with small businesses or very small micro businesses. And that, as I said, that the distinguishing factor is that they have a great product or service that they passionately believe in that makes a difference, that creates an impact. And that would be the through line.
Oh, that's amazing. I love that you don't have there was no like cutoff, like, well, I don't work with these people or that people. So it's just a matter of they have that pure idea that they know that their thing is really going to benefit their customer. And aren't we kind of all in sales? Like, aren't we all buying? We're all consumers and providers of everything.
You're in sales, whether you work a day in sales or you're not. For your career, the best thing you could ever do would be to get sales training, because you're still selling. You're selling to your team. You're selling to your boss. You're selling to the board, whatever it happens to be. And sales is leadership. They are core leadership skills. So whoever you are, wherever you're out there, don't just go, no, you got to learn these. These are powerful skills, and you can use them in your own life, because if you don't ask, you don't get. So if you want the trash taken out to the garbage can and you don't ask, nobody reads your mind.
Right.
You got to ask so that you can get.
I love that. There's some kind of cute little people that I follow on Instagram that's like, you gotta ask and get, but at the same time, if you've got your thing, there are people asking there for even weirder things. Like, your thing's probably amazing, let alone some weird little thing that's on the internet type of thing. Oh man. What does it look like when someone's like, hey, I want to meet with you? Like, what is the best location that they can come find you? And what does that process look like for them?
Well, the easiest place to connect with me is on our website at petite2queen.com. There's lots of places for you to book an Ignite Your Sales call, to have just a casual conversation and chat like we're having right now, Tiffany.
Yeah.
For me to find out what's going on. I want to know what's going on, what's working, what's not working, and what you would love to have working. And we're going to take a look at that. And it's just a natural conversation, which will lead to another conversation. If it seems like, okay, I feel that I can help you and that you're going to be a good fit, then we can move forward. Now, I wanted to point this out to people because you do not have to say yes to everybody. Remember my 5 heck yeses? If somebody's not a good fit for you, so one of the things for me, the other thing you'd asked, besides Worthington, is that, are they a one-call closer? Everything I do is based on relationships and building long-term relationships. To this day, I could literally pick up the phone and talk to any client I've ever worked with, and they'd be happy to hear from me.
Yeah.
So it's about lifelong relationships. Whether or not you work with that client for just a set period of time, they still become that that relationship is carried forward. I have a lot of clients who hire me again. Oh, well, now we want to do this, or now we're ready for this. So, and they also provide introductions and referrals. So it's a relationship, and that's really important. So if someone is a one-call closer, they literally expect to hard sell someone and manipulate them into a sale immediately. They are not a fit for me. I mean, I don't touch them with a 10-foot pole. Now, and there are people who do who specialize in that one-call closing. I don't do that. It's just never been my thing. It's all about the relationship.
Yeah, that's awesome for them to know and understand, hey, am I a good fit for this? I want to say something to everybody. If you are thinking, well, I love listening to Lynn's story, I love hearing her out, I don't really know if this is for me. You have no idea what it's like to work with a mentor, an expert, a coach that could take you from, even if you think your business is doing really well, or it's maybe just doing what it's doing, you have the opportunity to have some time with Lynn to identify ways that you didn't even know that you could benefit from. So my impression upon someone that they leave from this call today is, go ahead and reach out to Lynn, because number one, we love networking, so we want to get to know you. But number two, you could experience growth in a manner that you didn't even know, that you could help your company, your team, yourself, from just something as simple as the first thing that she said, your 17 and a half seconds that you have with the first person that you get to meet, because that's their impression of them. And that's what your salespeople are making an impression of. and representing you and your product and whatever your systems or services are. I love so much all the information that you've given us today. I thank you so much for your time. Is there anything else that you feel like you need to leave with everybody before we go?
Well, I'm going to repeat my bottom line.
Yes.
Sales, love it or hate it. You won't survive without it. So please, wherever you find the sales mentorship and leadership and consulting services that you need, I agree with Tiffany 100%. Get that additional help. It's going to make a big difference in your business and give you the confidence boost that maybe you need right now.
Oh, hands down. I love it. Thank you again. And I look forward to anybody that you get to connect with because of this podcast episode. And you guys will have the opportunity to have links below from all of our show notes to get a hold of Lynn and friend us all, connect with us all on LinkedIn and check out her website. And thank you guys for your time. I'll see you again next time.
Thank you, Tiffany.